You're listening to the Blue Raider Podcast, presented by Gold's Gym of Tennessee. Your all-access pass to everything Middle Tennessee sports, game recaps, player spotlights, and the latest from the heart of Blue Raider Nation. Now, here's your host, Jake Bolden.
Good morning and welcome to fall camp here at Floyd Stadium. I'm your host, Jake Bolden, doing the Blue Raider Podcast live from practice today. We'll be featuring interviews with all head coaches here. We've got Brian Stewart and Jamie Blatnick, strength and conditioning coach, in our first hour. We'll also be joined by some other media personalities like Shane Pickering will be joining us in a little bit as we preview the upcoming season. Before we get into it today, I do want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Gold's Gym Tennessee. If you don't already know right now, they have a 50-year anniversary special going on that's online only. 1965, billed bi-weekly, that you have to sign up again online. You can't go into any of the gym locations. You have to do that online. And secondly, they also have a giveaway basket for you guys to earn as well on Instagram. You don't have to be a member at Gold's Gym. However, you have to go to their Instagram page, share that post, and then tag friends. And you have unlimited entries. So the more people that you tag equals more entries into that $150 giveaway, full of prizes, courtesy of Gold's Gym of Tennessee. So again, stop by their Instagram page and check out that giveaway. Right now, as you can see, we are live here at practice. Coming up here shortly in about 8 minutes on the hour, we're going to have defensive coordinator Brian Stewart joining us. And we will be back in just a moment. All right. We are back here with defensive coordinator Brian Stewart. Coach, we did this last year, and you're the one coordinator I didn't actually get to meet. So, first of all, it's a pleasure to meet you after the first year at Murfreesboro. I guess the pleasantries that I missed last year, how are you adjusting here in Murfreesboro?
So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
So far, good. You know, this is a very warming community, so very tight community. So it's been great. A lot of MTSU grads, so they're rooting for us, and that's good to see.
What a time to get here, right? You got this brand new facility here. How are you adjusting to that new space?
It's adjustment.
Yeah.
A beautiful facility. We got to get used to it. We went from a Spartan life to the penthouse life, so we just gotta adjust and still keep that grit.
Tell me, this going into this year, describe the identity of your defense.
Aggressive and physical. We want to be aggressive and physical. What that means is, build a wall, set an edge, track a hip, stop the run, relentless pursuit. After you talk about relentless pursuit, then next thing you know is attacking the football and then being violent at the point of attack. If we can do those things, I think we'll be a better defense.
One thing that is unique about this year is, in this era especially, is valuable, that continuity you're having at leadership. Like, you got guys like Parker back, you got guys like John House back. How are you seeing those leaders step up in year two for you?
I think what they do is they help with the culture. I think when we first got here last year, we had a lot of guys that were used to doing it a different way. And some of those guys didn't buy in initially, and then they were halfway in, halfway out. I think with those guys that are our guys that have bought in, they have helped get the other guys to understand our culture and how we want to do things.
Talk about that buy-in a little bit more. How, as far as all that goes, because it seems like you have to major in the minor when you deal with guys
Absolutely,
like that.
absolutely.
How do you feel about that now at this stage where you were last year?
Oh, we're way ahead of the gun. When I say that is like tucking your shirt up practice, making sure you're strapped up. All those little things, if you can do those little things, you do the big things. Keeping your locker clean. Now we don't have to police that. Now they police each other. So I think that's big in helping our culture move forward.
Tell me about the position groups now. Who do you feel the most confident in this year?
Well, obviously I'm back there with the safety, so I'm excited about them. I think they're doing a good job adjusting and being able to put us in positions where we could do some disguise and some things. I think our linebacker crew is good. I think Parker's doing a good job leadership-wise. I think we have some good additions with Alex and Jaden, and then Corey is really coming up. So I think they're good. And then we got a veteran D-line group with Bynum and Big Man coming. So I think we're all right. And the person who's really had a great camp is Buckner. I think I can't say enough about the way he's practiced. He's really brought the defense's tempo, him and Parker, way up.
How does having, again, guys like Alex Mitchell, who's kind of joined in the fold, Parker's talked about this, how he feels, Alex obviously a Mike, and then he feels a lot more comfortable in the Mo, talking about Parker. When you have guys that are where they think they feel more comfortable, that's got to be easier to portray the message that is your defensive scheme.
Yeah, and I think they take it and own it, and that helps them play faster. Mm-hmm. So I like where those guys are, and they're comfortable, and it shows.
What does a Coach Stewart defense look like when it's performing at its best?
We dictate terms to the offense. I thought last year, just because of the newness for the players as well as the coaches and us coaches being in this conference, we didn't dictate terms. We tried to play fast and tried to play physical, but everybody tries, right? So this year we're going to dictate terms.
We're here with defensive coordinator Brian Stewart. As we wrap up here, you've been through a lot of staffs. How does this one kind of line up with your past destinations?
This is a great staff. One, got a great relationship with our offensive coordinator. I think that we work good yin and yang together. What he wants to see, he talks to me about. What I want to see, we talk about. So I'm real excited about Bodie. I think he's done a great job. I'm excited about coaching side by side with him. And then the guys on our defensive side of the ball are guys that I've known, and it's good because I have a DB coach who thinks like me because he played for Mason, and me and Mason were college teammates. I have a linebacker coach that's been with me and been around me since 2012. I have a D-line coach that I've known for since 1998. So everything kind of works pretty good. We got good camaraderie, and we got a chance to adjust and get things done pretty quick.
You've got a good balance too of aged coaches, and then you've got youthful energy, like you talk about the
Yes.
Josh Smith, the Bryce Lewises.
Yes.
Tell me, if you had the opportunity to play one of those younger guys on your defense this year, who are you drafting on your squad?
Who, the coaches?
Yeah, who's going to play?
Josh.
Josh is still going.
Josh
Can he
is
still
super
play?
athlete. Yeah, well, watch him do drills.
Okay.
He do drills. I said, how come we don't have him?
Have you ever asked about his brother Emmanuel? I guess you probably know about Emmanuel.
Oh
don't
yeah,
you?
I've seen him, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do you think Emmanuel? Now, me and Josh go back to middle school days, but Emmanuel, people don't know this. He can sling the football.
Oh yeah.
You think Josh could be a running back tandem there with Emmanuel still?
How about that? Probably so. He's super athletic. Yeah.
Well, Coach, it's been a pleasure to have you again. Defensive coordinator Brian Stewart. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome back. We're here at fall camp. I'm now joined with MTSU Sideline sports editor Brett Walker. Once again, Brett, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me again, Jake. It's great to be out here. Perfect football weather, and I'm excited for it.
You were here at this event last year, right?
I was, and it was probably about 20 degrees hotter.
Right.
I had on pants last year, and, it's been about a year, so I was able to get the sweat stains out of those khakis, and we got a lot better weather this year. So.
And you got a nice shade here with the giant SAPC. I guess you had the ability to actually walk through the ribbon cutting last week. Tell me what's in there.
Well, I think, it's going to sound weird. The craziest thing to me is when I walked in, you turn to the left, and they've got hydrotherapy pools.
Okay.
But really, though, it's 3 stories of just, of Division I football facilities.
Mm-hmm.
On the first floor, you've got your training facilities. They're, state-of-the-art locker room. Everything, it's just, they've really been able to take it to the next level. And, a brand new media facility, which is great for us, right, on the second floor. And then the third floor, obviously, the concrete club. So it's really just, it feels – they've been in Division I for a long time, but it feels like really now like a Division I football program with athletic facilities to match.
And even the field behind us here, like they got updated turf. I mean, I always think how much this updated turf actually look. Like, can you tell?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we can both speak for it. Like it is a beautiful turf. And obviously the ambiance that this whole SAPC adds to it is a beautiful place. So I'm excited about fans showing up to this year's kickoff against Austin Peay. Now, let's get into that. What are you most excited about to see this year from this football team?
I think what you're most excited to see about is the returning guys that you've got, because last year it was just, you had a roster that was just decimated, right? And I think you've seen it across the conference. Again, last year Coach Mason was new, and it was a complete reset. And now you're seeing some of these other teams in the conference kind of do that as well. Sam Houston's resetting now that Coach Keeler's gone. Jack State, the conference champion, is resetting now that Rich Rod is gone back to West Virginia. So, just to have some consistency in the building, along with some of these new guys, is really exciting to see. And specifically, I got out here this morning, first play. We weren't allowed to video during the team portion. I saw Nick Battiato run the triple option. That got me pretty excited.
And he hit a few deep balls too. I mean, he's in midseason form.
Midseason form. Hit Gamarion Carter right in the back post on that south end zone over there. So I'm just excited to be out here, and it feels great.
I think, speaking for myself, and we just talked with defensive coordinator Brian Stewart, and something that even Mason had mentioned at the media days is they're not having to deal with the buy-in, if you will. These guys, the guys that stayed or the guys that they wanted, a lot of these guys are bringing in, seem to understand the culture that they want to build. And so I think for the most part, they have the culture foundation now set. This obviously helps tremendously with that as well, as far as recruiting in the future. But as we take a step back now to this year, I don't know how often you'll fill in for us. Hopefully Brett will be still joining us throughout the practice today as we have more coaches. And as a heads up, after Brett, we're going to be joined by strength and conditioning coordinator Jamie Blatnick. But some expectations. I don't know. You don't have to put a number to it, but although they want to know a number, but what are your expectations for this year?
I won't put a number on it quite yet. We're still, kind of sifting through that. But I think expectations obviously are much higher than last year. You've got so many returners, so many new guys that are coming in. And also, just if you take a step back and look at it, the schedule is much more favorable, especially early on. You've only got one Power 4 opponent as opposed to 2. And last year you had a high G5, G6 opponent in Memphis on the road. So, those were 3 kind of automatic, L's early in the season last year. And you're not having to deal with that this year. You get a great FCS in-state matchup. And I love when they do that, right? It's good for the programs in-state. Last year, Tennessee Tech. This year, Austin Peay. I know they just agreed with Tennessee State to do a game here in a couple of years. So great to see that. And then you go to Wisconsin, which is your Power 4 team. One of the more favorable, Power 4 teams. And then you go on the road to Nevada, a kind of similar level, you would think, to MT. G5, G6 team. Have we decided yet? Are we going G5 or are we going to call it the G6?
I don't know. I guess I mean, I guess it all depends on what you think of the Pac, is or
Pac-12.
what it is now.
I'm leaning more towards G6, but I don't know if I'm fully committed to calling
I guess it would
yet.
depend, and we'll ask Massaro because now that he's on the football committee, do they consider as one of those automatic bids? That would, I guess, be the ultimate deciding
Yeah,
factor.
he's
I would assume not. That's just me. So G6 is probably a good taste.
But to keep it short, I think, again, don't want to put a number on it, but I think that you're going to see considerable jump. And I think you would like to see bowl eligibility as a possibility, especially, hit that 5-6 win mark.
Absolutely. Well, again, that's Brett Walker, sports editor of MTSU Sidelines. Again, he might be joining us at another time throughout practice today. But as for now, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jake.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. We are now joined by strength and conditioning coordinator Jamie Blatnick. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful day out here, first of all, but I'm happy to be joined with you again. I had my anabolic biscuit and bacon biscuit this morning, but I'm excited to talk to you, especially when we refer to this SAPC. I mean, no one has more toys than what you just got. Tell me what excites you the most about that new facility.
Really, so I was lucky enough to come in and be able to design it like from the ground level, which was great because I can put machines and racks and equipment in there that are conducive to what I do, right, and how I train the guys. So having the space now coming out of Dance Studio A, right?
I can imagine.
Right now, having some space where I could have a full offense in there, full defense in there. Room for hurdles and movement prep and mobility. And most importantly is now that it's close to the locker room and our offices are in there, I can have it open and guys can come in and do their RPR or their tempering or their stretching, right? So it's available to them, where the other one, it just wasn't, because you can't be in there without a coach. And it doesn't have office down there, so we're not going to sit down there for 12 hours out of the day waiting for people to just kind of meander through. They're already utilizing that space really well. But just super excited about how well Sorinex did with it, dynamic fitness, weigh it out. I mean, we've got jump boxes now that went from 60 to 70. Those are custom for us. We've got the world's thinnest calibrated plates. We've got the world's first thinnest calibrated 100-pound plates. We've got some attachments coming in for the hypers that are going to be the first college to have those. Our dumbbell racks now go up to 200, where they went up to 175. And people are like, what are you guys going to do with these 200s? Who's going to do this? I said, well, nobody if you don't have them.
Right.
Bottom line, nobody if you don't have them. So you got guys that do 175 for 8 to 10.
Right.
So that's as high as they can go. That's just kind of it. So we always want to keep goals and keep things kind of moving forward. I'm just really excited just to be in that facility and be like, oh yeah, here we go.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but you come to us from Oklahoma State 2 years ago. Where does this facility not only put this team in their conference, but in the realm of G5, G6 today?
I would put this facility up against anybody in the country, honestly. Anybody in the country. I mean,
and that comes from
sharp.
from the weight room in particular. Yeah,
everything. Some people might have bigger spaces, but I think our space that we have is definitely big enough, if not, a little bit more than what we need, which is what you always want. But the way I set it up is every machine in there has multiple uses, right? So if you wanted to belt squat, you could do it. If you wanted to jammer press, you could do it. If you wanted to deadlift or power clean on a rack and also squat in the rack, you could do it, because I move the racks off the racks off the platform. So there's 3 foot gap in there. So now you can utilize both, where most places it's one or the other. Everything's kind of broken up in 8 pieces of everything. So pods of 4 can go here, and the flow is really smooth. So guys can start, like, if I wanted lower body day, if I wanted everyone to do their explosive work first, in my old weight room, I couldn't do it because we just didn't have the space. So some guys would have to do their strength work and then do their explosive work, right? If I wanted to contrast it was really hard to do because there just wasn't enough space. Now I can contrast it. I can have everybody do their explosive work first, come in, do their strength work, and then go through accessory movements. The flow of things is just going to be so much smoother.
Talk me through your philosophy. I know last year you're kind of the first coach that everyone meets when they get here on campus, football players, that is. You kind of have now a year to develop those guys, and you retain in some of those guys back. So how much has your philosophy, if at all, changed now that you have this new tool, and now that you've kind of lived a year with these guys? Has it changed, I should say?
The philosophy stays the same. The methods are going to change.
Okay.
Right? How we do things are going to change. We're still going to have our max effort days, our dynamic days, our recovery days, our GPP days. But now how we do it's going to change, right? So if I didn't want to backload anybody for an entire offseason, I could do that in this weight room, right? We can do belt squats, we can do super cats, we can do all these other, you can put the jammer arms down. We can do all these things where, it can be a little bit, let's say, safer, but just a little bit less risky, right? Or they're getting compressed all the time. Always like to traction the guys out. So now we have all the tools in there to do things like that. So the methods are going to change. Like how we do our plyometric circuit, how we did it in Dance Studio A versus how we're going to do it here is going to change.
Right.
I can do ballistic bench pressing a little bit different in here, right? I've got machines where I can ballistic bench press guys. So that's going to change more so than the philosophy.
Joined here with strength and conditioning coordinator Jamie Blatnick. Coach Blatnick, another key piece also about this SAPC is the side of recovery. Now you have dedicated space for those guys as well. And I overheard you're talking with Chip and Emmy about, that philosophy for those guys as well. But a place like this makes it easier also from keeping an eye on them standpoint too.
Exactly. It was just hard where we were with guys and things being just kind of offset. My office is way over here, weight room's over here, locker room's over here, training room's over here. It was hard to develop a good flow for the guys. Now that everything's housed in the same building, I'm happy the guys are coming in and utilizing the stretching and recovery and temper space that I have built into that weight room and coming in pre-practice and getting things done that I know they need to do. And then, training room's got the red light therapy, hot and cold tubs. And it's just attached right to their locker room. So they can just go right in there and take care of their bodies. And it's easier now. Guys are coming into the office, which is nice. Before I think half of them didn't even know where my office was because it was a whole building away. Right. So now they're coming in. Hey, coach, I got this. How can I? Oh, yeah, let's work on it. That and the recovery side of things, like we were talking, I was talking with Chip about it. It's changed a lot. So, like, I train the guys at optimal levels, right? Optimal rep range, optimal percentages. And I tell them, okay, what I'm going to give you is optimal. If you go out and do anything more than this, you're going to overtrain. And what's going to happen is you're going to be the guy that when we retest didn't get better or may have got worse. Right. And it's clear as day because I track them every single week. So it's clear as day which guys are those guys. And we had guys that used to do that last year that stopped doing it. And I was hard. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
Right. A couple whiteouts. Stop doing it. Those guys went from running 19 miles an hour to 21.8. What do you know? You're recovered. Right. Now you can perform. It's that important. So I tell them we don't build muscle in the weight room. We only break it down. Okay. You're going to build it the next 72 hours. I'm going to give you off, right? We're going to do legs on this day, and 72 hours later, we're going to do legs again. Okay. I'm going to give you that time to recover, right? It's your job to do that. Eat, hydrate, sleep. That simple.
And make use of those reps, right? I mean, every rep matters in those situations that you're talking about. But let's get into some of these athletes. They're off season, technically. You're in season when we're dealing with these guys. Who so far have you been impressed with?
I'll tell you this, like, I'm really impressed with the team as a whole. And this is so, a lot of coaches at the end of the summer cycle, they do a lot of retesting. And I did a lot of retesting last summer, because it was a lot of unknowns. This summer we retested the max velocity, we tested the box jump, and the numbers were so much improved. I said, okay, man, like, I'm not going to retest the squat. Like, you may be 20 pounds, 30 pounds heavier, but I have indicators to test these things. We tested Nordics. So now we have everybody on the team. Every big skill player can do Nordics, and I got 3 O linemen that can do it, and I've got 6 D linemen, 7 D linemen that can do Nordics. People don't know
necessarily, but it's where your legs are. You have a something over the back of your Achilles. You fall your whole body over, and you're curling your entire body up with your hamstrings. It is way more difficult.
It is extremely hard. It is extremely hard. And having O linemen that can do it, I was like, you know what? If I had a tail, it'd be wagging. So, you guys are strong enough. So it was one of those things where I'm like, you know what? Hey, let's get in. Let's start to taper. Let's get into camp. Let's freshen up. And that's how I went about going with them, this off season. But as individuals, like there's so many I can say, yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great. And that this time last year wasn't that way. I'd probably give you 5 or 6 names. Yeah. And then the rest, really everyone. And it's the accountability, the character, and them upholding standards, right? I don't have to run around and, hey, what are you doing? Nobody ever taught you that. Why are you doing that? Right? Players are correcting players.
Yeah.
So that makes my job, I want to say, well, it makes it a lot easier, right? But it puts me in a much better mood because then I'm like, good Lord, son. We've done this for 6 months. How is this? Have you been doing it wrong the whole time or you just don't care, right? We're not players like, hey, back leg straight, like, how beautiful. And they're doing it, and they're coming together. Guys are coming in groups, position groups, and they're staying until the last man finishes. They're breaking it down. They're on to the next thing. It's just the feel of it just feels so much better than it did a year ago, and that's what I'm most proud of them about, to be honest with you.
I overheard again you talk about who the strongest is, and you said DeMonte Smith. But I'll ask a question, and you know what I mean by this. Who is pound for pound the strongest player?
Ooh,
on this team?
we did that in the winter. It was Anthony Bynum and Ashton Jones,
Okay.
pound for pound.
And Ashton's the
Running back.
from
Mhm.
Oakland, correct?
Yes.
And then so that's and people may not know pound for pound. I mean, as in like it is relative to
Yes.
who they are as size. So to hear that from a running back,
Yeah.
that's
And-
typical where they fall.
And
so.
Cam Lacey was up there too.
And Cam Lacey. Okay, wide receiver Cam
Yes.
Lacey, one of my personal favorite athletes. So, on that same note, who is the freakiest athlete? Who can do that box jump that doesn't necessarily look like they can?
Doesn't necessarily look like they can. I mean, Anthony Bynum jumps on a 60-inch box.
My goodness.
You know, so he's a 265 pound
Yeah.
D lineman. That's quite impressive. I mean, G's always been a good jumper. Really, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Oh, you know what? Isaac Rue got 48.
Okay.
No.
Lineman as
Offensive
well.
lineman almost got 50.
My goodness.
Otts almost got 50.
Wow.
You know,
And
so
he's a big dude.
Mhm. So those
Wow.
guys are developing a lot of good power.
Well, we're still here with strength and conditioning coordinator Jamie Blatnick, Coach Blatnick. As we wrap up here, something interesting about you, bodybuilding past.
Sort of, not really.
You were on stage though,
Once,
right?
one time.
Is there ever a world you step back on that stage?
No.
What's the drawback?
So that whole thing really was I had a really good friend of mine that I played college ball with, and he wanted to do it. And he's like Jamie, I need an accountability partner. So all right, man, I'll do it with you. And you know, we got to about then COVID hit and kind of stuff started getting shaken up, and we got about 8 weeks out. And he's like, "Oh, I know I'm not ready." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, no, I'm going through it. Like, so
yeah, we're this far.
Right. I just finished it out. And really that was it. It was more of but it was really like the eating and the discipline and the sleeping. Like that was the part of it that's the hardest.
Yeah.
The weight part was smooth. You know, it was okay. Shoot, I need to eat 7 meals a day
You're right.
to lose weight.
Mhm.
Right. I'd get down to 241 pounds. you know.
Super heavyweight, or are you heavyweight?
So I was classic physique. So it's by height.
Height. That's
So
right.
6'3", it was like 241. And I was coming down from like 275. So it's like, okay, but I ate more. And I tell these guys, like, if I want to lose weight, you got to eat more.
Yeah.
You got to eat the right things at the right
At the right
times,
time.
but you have to eat more.
Mhm.
Right? If you try to eat less and lose weight, your body composition doesn't go the way you want it to. That part was really the whole reason I was like, hey, let's try it. You know, the rest of it, the onstage part, and the spray tan with,
The worst part.
yo.
You're taking that off for days, aren't you?
I mean, it's just, it's just whatever. But it was just one thing. Okay, did it. You know, didn't know how to do it. Okay, but that was really like I did it for a friend.
Right. No, we won't be hosting a bodybuilding competition here at the new SAPC, but that is strength and conditioning coordinator Jamie Blatnick. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. We are now joined by co-special teams coordinator Louis Cioffi. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Coach, special teams is kind of that unique part of the game that oftentimes gets overlooked. Talk about the pride that you especially would take, obviously, in coaching special teams and even some of these young guys that take pride, because that's kind of where they earn their mark.
Well, again, very excited about this opportunity. Very excited for the opportunity for our kids. It's a great chance for these guys to show what they can do on the field and, carve a niche to make this roster.
How do you coach for the buy-in on the special teams? Because like I said, you got guys like freshmen who, like I said, they earn that opportunity.
So I have an extensive NFL background, and actually in one of my previous meetings here, I just showed them a clip of a receiver we had in Cincinnati, Stanley Morgan, who played at Nebraska, was in the NFL for 5 years, and he was a wide receiver. And he went undrafted. He made our roster. Every year we tried to outdraft him. We're out in this phase, we out-recruit him. But year in and year out, because of his value on special teams and as being a four-core guy, he would make the team. And he played for 5 years in the NFL, and he only had 5 receptions as a wide receiver. But he made over $4 million, and that was all because he played on special teams.
Right.
So I think that right there would grab their attention.
You already touched in there a little bit, obviously, your extensive career. What was the draw to Coach Mason's staff here?
I had the privilege of working with Coach Mason at Vanderbilt, and I just like being around a guy that's real, a guy that's involved in the community. Not only is he trying to win here, but he's trying to build a culture, make these young men great on the field, but also great in the community.
Talk about that community a little bit. I know you've been acquainted since early spring. Talk about your relationship here with Murfreesboro. How are you feeling? How are you settling in?
I love Murfreesboro. I'm up the road in Franklin, so I've been here. I've been a Tennessee native now for about 10 years.
Okay.
So, once I was with the Titans, we never moved. I just kind of moved around. I kept my family here. But I really, really like this area. Great downtown, great culture. People here are super friendly. I've just really enjoyed it.
I can imagine the Williamson County, Rutherford County connection. It's a great area to be in. New SAPC. You've moved into it now. I mean, that's got to be a big draw for you.
Okay, this building is phenomenal. I've been a lot of places, and this is as good or better than most places in the NFL. So again, it just shows the commitment of the university and the commitment of the community to give to these players. And like I said, now there's great expectations, and I hope we can fill those expectations.
Tell me about office space. You got the good office. Where do you think you stack on the offices between the coaches?
I'm happy to have an office.
Happy to have an office.
I got a good office. I'm right across. I don't have a window, but I can see through a window. So I'm very happy.
That's
with
all
that.
you need, right? Talk about Max Arnold, another kind of your co-special teams coordinator.
So that's been also a privilege to me and really to this university. Like we have 3 guys like doing this job that are awesome. They all bring certain things to the table. Max is extremely bright. He's a homegrown guy, played at University of Tennessee, very, very well oriented in the scheme, great motivator of young men. And then we have Cam Curtis as well, who is a former Blue Raider. He really is invested in the school. So we got 3 guys all pulling in the same direction to make this place the greatest it could be.
Special teams is always evolving, especially now with new rules. Obviously, the NFL has their new rules. College kind of implemented the fair catch a few years ago. What is something about special teams that is more complex than maybe the casual fan may not understand?
You have, as you can see in practice here, we're out here for about 95 minutes, right? But the actual special teams work is probably only about 10 or 12 total. So you have to be really precise, extremely detailed, and you have to get a lot of work done in a short amount of time so that guys can execute at the highest level in the games. So you have to be able to prepare them. You have to give them situations, but you also have to make it very understandable where they can react and they can play fast.
Talk about that fair catch rule. Is it more, I guess, advantageous to always take that fair catch on the kickoffs?
It depends. It depends. We feel like if they kick the ball where we want it to be kicked, we can have a big return. But if it's not exactly where we want to kick, then we'll take the fair catch.
We're here with co-special team coordinator Louis Cioffi. Coach, as we wrap up here, coach on staff. You had to bring him in as an emergency kicker or punter.
A coach?
A coach as an emergency kicker.
It'd be Max Arnold.
No question?
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's an easy one.
That's an easy one.
Who would be the next one?
The next one, I'd probably athletically would be Coach Lowry.
Does athleticism kind of equate to a good?
Oh,
kicker?
in everything you do in football, it's that like everything's about playing with a good base, playing with good leverage, and then having a physicality.
There you go. Calvin Lowry will be the emergency kicker for Coach Chofie. But special teams coordinator Louis Chofie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Chris, thanks a lot.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. We are now joined by Shane Pickering. Shane, thanks for joining us again.
Yes, sir. It's going good. Excited to see football again. Ready for the season to come up already and cover another good season of MTSU football.
Man, you were here last year. First of all, obviously we have a different venue and everything, but the weather is like significantly better than it was.
So much better. So much.
We were sweating through it last year out there on the practice field, so definitely a much better situation here for us. But Shane, is this your first time here since the SAPC is open? Or were you here at the ribbon cutting?
I was not here at the ribbon cutting, but I've seen it on the road, passing by every day. So I've definitely seen the upgrades. It looks so nice. And seeing it from this side as opposed to the back side, it looks even better from this side.
Yeah, we've heard a lot so far as the coaches have rolled through, talk about not only this facility, the best that maybe Conference USA has seen, but even in the country in terms of other P5, or I guess P4s now, and other G6s especially. So excited to see what this place will look like when they host Austin Peay to kick off the year. But Shane, as we get into the conversation here about football, what are you kind of most excited to see at practice today?
I'm excited to see a revamped offensive line. I think that what this offense wants to do is run the ball, whether that's with Austin Clemens, Jaquel Middlebrook, Ricky Hunt, anyone in the rotation, they want to run the ball. And to do that, you have to have a good offensive line. And then you do the play action, protect Nick Vadiato off that. They just simply were not able to do that last year. And they invested into the offensive line, and I'm excited to see what it can do this year for them.
You had the ability to actually go down on the practice field as we're going through drills behind us. What were kind of some observations? I know you made one about Nick in particular.
Nick definitely looks like he has gained some weight, and which I think that's always good, especially for a quarterback that maybe is not as tall, just to be able to withstand a season. And then, like I said, the offensive line, you can tell they made investments into it. It's a lot bigger. They can move better than last year. The offensive line and defensive back rooms. I mean, we knew it was bigger, but it's functional size. It's not, 6'4" and can't change direction. It's 6'4", and I can go cover the slot receiver or the X receiver. And it's just the team's bigger, more athletic, and I think, frankly, more talented than last season, which is exciting for MTSU.
One thing that has kind of been the question mark on the defensive side of the ball has been the depth at defensive line. I know we've talked about it at length off air, but a lot of these guys that returned this year, they've been really impressed with. I guess what kind of production do you think those guys need to have a good year?
Well, I think you have to be able to generate pressure this year. That's something that didn't happen last year, and then you lose the depth from that, and you didn't really replace it with anyone. I know you were on with G5 Hive, and you mentioned they swung big, and that's exactly what happened. They just didn't land those guys. So you're running it back. You're expecting these young guys like Anthony Bynum to take a step, and you just need those ends like Anthony Bynum, even the linebackers like Jaden Thompson to come down and just generate pressure. That's going to be the difference. And Brandon Buckner has looked good so far, so that is encouraging to see.
Yeah, they did say Brandon Buckner was probably the most impressive. When I talked to Brian Stewart, he said Buckner had been one of the most improved players, and that says a lot for a guy that was already pretty good a season ago. So look forward to kind of seeing what they do on the defensive side. Another topic of discussion that's been hot is the schedule. Everyone loves to reflect on how tough that was last year, kind of put them in a hole behind the eight ball coming right out of non-conference play. This year, a lot more conducive to winning more ball games getting into conference play. You kind of share that same sentiment?
Yeah, I think really with Memphis, you had 3 Power 4 opponents last year. And I think this year it's a lot more workable. Wisconsin is, even as your Power 4 opponent, is in a slump. And I think it's just Marshall is replacing everyone. I think you have a lot more of an opportunity to start fast, which is always good. And it builds momentum and confidence within the team, which I think this team needs badly.
And the outlook on Conference USA, I know I listened to our good friend Sam Doughton over on Main Street Sports Today on their show yesterday, and he kind of highlighted Conference USA as a whole. So I obviously encourage those to listen to our friend Sam over there. But Conference USA as a whole, again, it's in a situation where there's a lot of question marks. Everyone likes to think that Liberty is the number one. I know in the media poll or the bowl expectancy rating, they were the highest along with Western Kentucky, and I think that's kind of the easy pick. But I think you would agree 3 all the way down is kind of a crapshoot.
I think conference is wide open this year. Liberty returns a lot in the trenches, so that would probably be why, and just their natural success. Mm-hmm. But past Liberty, it's pretty wide open. I mean, Western Kentucky lost everyone off that team. And same with Sam Houston and FIU and everyone in the conference. So I think it's wide open. It's anyone's game, maybe past Liberty. And I think that's something that, in Middle Tennessee has something to play for in the conference more so this year. And they can and should be able to win some games.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake when it comes to, again, jockeying for good position. And obviously you want to win more games than you win last year, but now you're kind of in a situation where you can make a big leap from near last all the way up to that third place spot. Talk about Jacksonville State, a team that obviously shocked a lot of people last year. Rich Rod did. Now he earned himself a spot back into West Virginia. A lot of people are high on the Gamecocks, and I have to be honest, and again, I'm a Blue Raider fan as much as I am a podcast host, but I don't see it necessarily with the Gamecocks. I think they have a lot of guys that replace. They just still have to prove themselves, to me, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I think it's kind of a similar situation to Mason, where you have a former, big-time defensive coordinator taking over with Charles Kelly, who's trying to build maybe more traditional schemes. With MTSU, you went from stock with the air raid to Mason with pro style. With Jacksonville State, you're going from that option offense to more traditional. And there's going to be growing pains with them, just like every other team in the conference this year.
Absolutely. And then the other kind of team that had the continuity, Sonny Cumbie there at La Tech, someone who didn't think would be coaching there still. They bring in Tony Franklin, who now they're extremely excited, which those here in Murfreesboro know Tony Franklin well enough. Do you think that the Bulldogs, Sonny Cumbie, can finally – I know he went to a bowl game on a technicality last year, but can they break through and get to that 6-win mark this year?
I think just for their program's momentum, they kind of need to. Going to another conference and trying to, build up credit there. I think this season's very important for the Bulldogs. They have a lot to play for. Maybe that won't be necessarily with a bowl game or something that they're like, oh, we need to get in this bowl game or in this conference championship. But they're playing for a lot behind the scenes, I feel like. So it will be interesting to see how that new offensive coordinator hire plays into that.
Absolutely. Well, we're joined now with Shane Pickering, friend, I guess co-worker, if you will, at Go Middle. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back shortly. We are now joined here at the Blue Raider Podcast by offensive coordinator Bodie Reeder. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Coach, one full year here, kind of reflect back on you've got this new facility here. What a year it's been here in Murfreesboro.
Well, we have a full year of information we didn't have before, right? And a little bit more knowledge of the players, a little more knowledge of the conference. So we're excited going into year 2. The building means a lot to us because it gives us something that we feel like we need to defend it. You know, it's a special place that a lot of people dedicate a lot of time and money and effort to create for our student athletes. And now it's our turn to protect that building.
Tell me the identity you're trying to build with the offense this year.
Well, I think that our roster is we have some pretty good playmakers. I think that we have some good speed on the outside. I think we have some tailbacks that are really competing, and our identity is going to be to get the ball to our best players and allow the offensive line to come off the football and do stuff that allows them to play fast, and then protect Nick.
Tell me if you've heard this question before. Vadiato, how easy has it been with having a guy like that under center?
Heard it before, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. He's taken on more of a leadership role this off season and going into fall camp. He's been more vocal, and we kind of left him alone this summer a little bit to see if he could organize some of the the PRPs and get what he wanted out of it, because ultimately it's going to be him on game day out on the field. And I thought he did a nice job.
Tell me about some of these new wideouts. Obviously, it's a group that you had to replace. You have Miles Butler coming back as kind of a key part of that. Tell me about these wideouts. Who should we be looking for?
Well, we're excited about AJ Jones. He's very consistent, makes plays, and he's physical. Marion Walker gives us length and speed. He's a really fast guy. Najee Cox, kind of the same mold. He's long and tall and can go get the football. And then Kason Stokes is a younger guy, but he can really run. So I think what we did, we added some guys that are a little bit taller, and I think we have some long speed.
Are there any of these new guys that were maybe better than you maybe thought on paper originally?
Oh man, I'm really excited about AJ Jones. He just keeps making plays, and he's just consistent, which is what we're looking for. We're looking for consistent, high-level work.
I know we're talking on wide receivers, talked about the quarterback. As the offense as a whole, what position group do you feel the most comfortable with? Nick may be the easy answer.
Yeah, he's playing good football. Now it's just developing that number 2 and who's it going to be in that position. I think the tight ends are playing really well for Coach Gans. They're playing hard, they're playing physical, and they're competing. I feel good about the wide receivers. I think there's good competition and depth in that room, but I don't feel comfortable like going into a game yet for anybody. We have to do a good job in these next few weeks of fall camp.
Tell me about the O-line. That's kind of a whole revamp for those guys. I know you feel comfortable, but now this group really looks the part.
Yeah, they're bigger. Excited about Jacob Otts, the left tackle. That's an important position in our offense and protecting the quarterback. And then other than that, the new bodies are important, right? The new guys we bring in. But it's getting that whole unit to breathe as a unit, because the same 5 guys that are going to start against Austin Peay, my history tells us those aren't going to be the same 5 guys that are going to play, 4 or 5 weeks down the road, just because of the nature of the position. So I don't think it's falling in love with any one guy, but I think it's more of getting them to play as a unit and coming off the ball. And it doesn't matter who's in, they're able to execute.
One of those guys that kind of fell into that position was Clayton last year.
Yeah.
A lot of injury, and now I would assume, I'm going to speak out of turn maybe, that he's going to be the right tackle this year for you guys.
I don't know. There's good competition there. And here's the disadvantage that Zach had. Zach had to play as a true freshman. He didn't get a chance to redshirt. So he still has that ability to gain a year of experience if needed. But I think the competition has raised his level of game.
If you had to pick a player this year that's going to break out, that may not be on our radar, who would that guy
Cam
be?
Lacey.
My favorite. I've been telling people, I told him this last year, a slot guy, just quick. I look at him as, like, for those that know Ty Lee here at MTSU history, or even Richie James, just a slippery receiver that's got great hands.
Yeah, he's a lot different than the other guys in that room too. He has a different skill set, because those other guys, 6'2", 6'3", and Cam is that jitterbug guy. So it gives us a great change up, and he has a good skill set.
Last question here, Coach. Got the new office here set up. Who is there a coach here that over decorated their new office? Are you that guy? Are you the over decorator?
Well, no. Here's my decoration. Every time my kids come home from Sunday school, or every time they come home with an art project, they give it to me and say, "Put it in my office." So my office decorations are finger paints and crayon, pictures, and that's my decoration. So you may not be wowed by it, but it's special to me.
Right.
Coach Lowry's got a nice office, and you always go in there and get a piece of candy.
Well, that is offensive coordinator Bodie Reeder. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. Had a little bit of a brief break there, but we got Athletic Director Chris Massaro joining us. Chris Massaro, thanks.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. It's awesome to have all you guys, and we got a little radio row here, so I'm thrilled to do the Blue Raider podcast.
Here's something that I'm sure you've been asked many times, but I want to, especially in the last couple of weeks, this facility. I mean, first off, wow. We were doing this last year on the practice facility. You could just kind of see this off in the distance, and it was just bones at that point. And now it's come to fruition. You've cut the ribbon. I mean, what can you say about this place that hasn't already been said in the last 2 weeks?
Well, that's maybe the hardest question I'll answer today. You know, and I always struggle to find words what it means, because it means a lot to our program. It means a lot to our university. It sends a signal to our community that, hey, we're serious about football and about athletics. And our community sent a signal back to us that, yeah, we support that, because over 450 donors contributed their hard-earned money to help build this thing. And so that helps. And that was my message to those players. Like when you walk through and see names in the lobby and names in the meeting rooms and those kind of things, just know that those are living, breathing people that want you to be your very best. And they're investing in you. And so you need to give them your best effort, because they deserve it.
As we head into this new athletic season, obviously, this aside, what kind of excites you the most about this upcoming year?
You know, every sport, I think we're poised for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's no secret we went 3-9 in football last year, and it was a real disappointing results. But there was a lot being laid. There was a lot of foundation that was being laid last year with Derek Mason and his staff, and that maybe the public wasn't able to see. But me being around it every day, you can see that. You can see the building process, because I've got access to it. And so I think this year people will be able to see that result. So I'm really excited about the football team and the football program, and letting it bloom. And Derek is really excited about his football team. Usually I've been in this industry long enough that you can kind of tell the coaches speak if they're not excited. You know, you got to get some of those qualifiers, and he's truly excited. So that excites me as well.
What makes this group in particular, maybe it's all this that's going on around it, but what about this group in particular just makes them feel different, makes them feel special from that 3-9 team last year?
You know, I think when you look at them physically, the physicality, I mean, we're bigger at cornerback. We had troubles on the boundary last year. I mean, we couldn't contain the boundary, you know, and size was a factor out there. Our physicality was a factor out there. And if you can't contain the edge, then you're vulnerable up the middle, because then you got to put more people out there. So it just is a snowball effect. So our offensive line is bigger and stronger, and it's relatively new. Last year we struggled to protect the quarterback, and you could see Nick's production just each week kind of go down. You know, and that's a difficult thing for a quarterback. We've got, in my view, one of the best returning quarterbacks in the conference. I think he's the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to protect him and supplement it with the running game as well, I think we're going to see a different offense. So it's going to be a whole new team. The physicality, the how they look and how they conduct themselves is a lot different than a year ago.
We're here with MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro. If you're going to make an elevator pitch to someone who maybe hasn't come to an MTSU game before, what is that pitch to them this year?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, come to the stadium. I mean, the aesthetics has changed a ton. So we've got the beautiful building in the background. We've got brand new turf, brand new goalposts, brand new team. Give us a chance and come out that first game. We all know somebody who's either went to Austin Peay, goes to Austin Peay. They're a local rival. There's historical rivalry to it. So come on out. It's Labor Day Saturday. Put on your white T-shirt. It's a whiteout. It'll be our first ever whiteout at Floyd Stadium. So come on out and give us a chance. And I think you're going to really like what you see.
One thing that I know you can't promise, and maybe not enough prayer can do it, but if we can have weather like this, I think it'll be an easy sell, because we didn't get that draw last year with the weather.
and we had a horrible weather year last year.
Every home game.
And maybe God or Mother Nature was looking out for us because we weren't a very good football team last year. So maybe that rain.
Yeah.
But the Tennessee Tech game really hurt because we had a lot of excitement prior to that game. And then it just opened up and we have those lightning delays for like 2 hours in that. So, yeah. So maybe we got it all in last year.
Right.
So this year we'll have a beautiful, just 6 Saturdays, man. That's all we want, 6 Saturdays.
Absolutely. Anything on game day that's a little bit different this year? I know you guys are trying some things last year. Anything that's kind of like with the Grove where you guys did the shows? Anything different this year?
I think it'll be new and it'll be improved over a year ago because we learned a lot over on the party in the Grove. I think the biggest newest thing is that right out of the opener is our whiteout, you know, and I think that I hope the fans really get into that because that's always fun and to see the fans full of white T-shirts and let's be a little bit like Penn State, you know, and it'll be great. So that's those are the biggest things. You're gonna see we're gonna start renovating the west stands here during football season, so we'll probably tarp over a couple of those sections as we make repairs, and the repairs are helping us. We're going to come up with wider tread and more seat backs and stuff for the next year. So I'm excited to really put some fan amenities into the west side of the stadium.
I know that's something that people have been asking a lot about, so that's exciting news. Chris, I've talked with you a ton about other things. This is the one question I've never really asked you. I saw you on the pickleball court at the social earlier this year.
I probably damaged the court.
No. What I want to know, if you could pick a sport to coach for a day?
Oh, for a day?
What sport would you like to take?
Oh man, I've never had that question. That's a really.
You've been here
question.
for how long? You've never thought about taking over.
I've never had that. You know, I've always known I'm not a coach. I'm more of an administrator. I probably know. I played college football. So in my mind, I probably know more about football, but football's changed so much. And I'm a big basketball fan as well. So it'll probably be one of those two sports that maybe basketball might be easier to manage. You only have 12 or 15 guys instead of 100 guys.
Yeah. Well, it's the game is changing, and we get an athletic director / assistant coach maybe in the making.
Yeah.
But we're joined with Chris Massaro. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. We are now joined by running back, redshirt sophomore Jaquil Middlebrooks. Jaquil, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You were in a room full of veterans last year. You're kind of in a unique role because you're returning with all the experience that room has. I know Ricky obviously has experience elsewhere, but you're kind of the leader. How are you meshing with all these new guys?
I feel like we meshed good together. I mean, Ricky came in. I feel like he's gonna be a big part of the team. I feel like we're kind of like a duo, but not forgetting about Smush and the other running back. I feel like we all gonna bond together real good.
How do you describe? You talk about the 1-2 punch kind of. How would you describe his game versus your game?
I say, like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery from the Lions. I feel like that's kind of how we play it.
And I'm gonna go on a limb. You're Gibbs. Okay, that's right. So I remember I've watched your interview back with Nick and them, and talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, guy that you kind of look up to. What about his game do you kind of admire?
I feel like he's like very explosive. Like when he sees a hole, he's gonna hit it right now. There's no waiting.
Look about NCAA football. I've looked at ratings, and I know you're a big Gibbs guy. What part of your game do you think is the most? I've got the numbers. What is the most replicable to Gibbs? What do you think is the closest
in the game
for you in NCAA football to Gibbs in Madden?
The juking? Is it the juking? Acceleration?
It's pretty. Yeah, your acceleration is pretty darn close. But the one that's been impressive is your trucking is better than Gibbs.
For real?
Yeah. Do you care? Does that surprise you? I guess
it does.
So I guess you are an NCAA football guy. How often you play in that game?
I've been having to cut it out. It's fall camp. I don't even play.
You don't play at all?
Do you during fall camp?
How much do you take into the ratings? Like, do you read into them at all?
A little bit, but not for real. I mean, I really don't like to go based off what the game says.
If you could give yourself better ratings somewhere, where would that be?
Like juke and acceleration.
Yeah. Where do you think you got slided?
My speed.
You think your speed got slided?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. That was one thing I saw too. I was like, well,
what is the speed? You know,
like 7. It was like 78 maybe. They just don't know.
It needs to be 85.
Yeah, they don't know. Well, back to the roster, the running back room as a whole. We got a bunch of new guys, a lot of freshmen coming in. Of those guys, who has impressed you the most?
I think all the running backs impressed me. DJ, he's a real good one. He came from, I don't know what high school he came from, but he's from
Riverdale.
Tennessee. Yeah, Riverdale. He's a good running back. Brooklyn is a great running back as well. And, Smush, he's been here with Austin Clemens.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to be a great part of the team as well. And we have AJ. Ashton Jones.
Yeah.
He's good as well.
a lot of local guys there, because even Brooklyn went to MBA, but he was at Siegel for middle school.
Yep.
Of those guys, how about speed? Who's got the speed? And DJ's the state champion, right?
I can't go wrong with the answer DJ.
Yeah,
DJ
right.
fast.
Is he quicker than you?
Quicker? Oh, no. Faster, yeah.
So what part do you think from the running back spot, because a lot of people think you just hand the ball off your run. What about the position do you think fans may take for granted? What makes this position so difficult?
I think you have to see the whole field. Like, you have to have vision as a running back. You can't just look at one thing. Like, while the play is going, you can't just focus on one person or one particular thing. You got to see everything on the field. So that don't make it hard for us, but probably an average person, I don't think they can do
Wouldn't
it.
understand that. Yeah. Well, but even pass blocking, like that's something that like I think people overlook. I mean, how difficult is something like that?
I mean, for me, it kind of comes easy, but it's a lot that goes into it because you have to go off what the lineman is IDing to. You have to go -1, -2, and you got other people that you got to look at. So it's kind of easy, but.
Well, it's a lot of accounting, and you're always the last guy to pick it up, and sometimes it could be from that blind side.
Sometimes you got to pick up a D lineman.
Oh yeah. Well, you talk about guys like Buck or Bynum coming at you. Yeah, I can imagine that blind
That's
side.
a headache.
Well, Jaquil, tell me a little bit more personal about you. What motivates you to play football?
I think I've been doing this for so long. Like I feel like this is really what I love. I just love doing it. I love coming out here, waking up in the morning 5:30. Some people might not like waking up at 5:30, but I love playing football. So that's what motivates me.
One piece of advice you would give to Jaquil, the guy that walked on campus for the first time a few years ago, what piece of advice have you learned over that time?
Just keep going. Keep going. When I first got here, I got redshirted. I mean, I kind of got down. I went inside like a cave. I just feel like no matter what you do, you just got to keep going. Keep fighting. Keep pushing.
We're excited to see Jaquil Middlebrooks keep fighting this year. Redshirt sophomore. I appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Appreciate it.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. We are now joined by linebacker Parker Hughes. Parker, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
This time last year, you're fighting through an injury. I showed up to camp, didn't know about it, and I was surprised. Obviously, a little concerned about the depth, but now you're back. You're healthier than ever. You made your way back to the field. Talk to me about that rehabbing process to get you where you are now.
You know, I wasn't expecting an injury either. You know, it's something that happened during spring, just lifting wise, and just that process, man. I was looking forward to that year. You know, I thought it was going to be my year for sure. But just that rehab process, man, it's a lot. It takes a toll on you mentally and physically. But just attacking it day by day is the best thing for me. That's what I had to do. So, yeah, just trying to get back for the team.
How do you feel about yourself now that you have gone through that rehab? I assume you're feeling healthy at this point?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I feel better than I felt. I mean, you know, usually guys – I mean, yeah, I had a lot of time off last year, and I also only missed 3 games. So, yeah, the body was still, you know, recovering a little bit. But as far as the bumps and bruises aspect of it, but, yeah, I mean, I feel great now. I mean, best I've felt in a while.
What did you learn through that process of rehabbing? Like, is there any kind of things that you do on a day-to-day basis that kind of avoid that situation again?
Yeah, I mean, core. Like, if you have a really good core, I mean, it's going to help you back out. So just continuing to work on core just before practice and rolling out, stretching out, stuff like that, staying loose.
Has the preparation at all changed for you?
Most definitely. I get in here a little bit earlier. It's already early, but I got to get in a little bit earlier.
Jaquil was just on with us. He said he loves getting here at 5:30. You have that same sentiment?
I mean, yeah. I say it's a 5:15 we start rehabbing and stuff. So I'm in here by 5:15, 5:30, somewhere in between there. Yeah.
So tell me how would you describe the identity of your linebacker group?
The identity of our linebacker, I think we're hungry. I mean, I think those guys just want to go make plays. I think there's a lot of leaders in our group, you know, including me, including 3. And, you know, there's some other guys young guys like Corey, Lou Byard. He's been here for a while. He's playing Mo and Mike. So he's been a great aspect, a piece to our linebacker group. But I think we're just hungry. We're ready to go. What's
something about the linebacker group that maybe the casual fan doesn't know or realize it's difficult about being a linebacker?
No, I say there's a lot of difficult things that come with being a linebacker. First, you got to get the D-line set. So you got to have the close call. And then, boom, if there's a shift, you got to slide them. If it's a tight end shift, you got to slide the close call. You got to get the checks. If it's ugly formation, you got ugly get the whole back end on the same page. So, I mean, there's a lot that comes to being a linebacker that people don't really understand. It's not just, we're fitting just our A-gap. There's a lot more that goes to it. But, yeah.
No, it's not a C-ball hit ball.
Exactly, yeah.
So, now you're Mr. Football from Elizabethton all the way out East Tennessee, all the way out there. I think Tri-Cities, isn't it, where Elizabethton is?
Yes, sir.
So, you played wide receiver.
Yeah.
Why linebacker?
I think I grew into the position of being a linebacker when I got to college. I mean, I was like 205, 210 in high school, so that's a pretty big receiver. And coming back here, I knew I wanted to play defense. I actually had 0 offers for defense out of high school. It was just offense, the offers I had. But I knew I wanted to play defense, and you know, Shafe and stuff recruited me here. He was, you know, he's a good coach, good recruiter, so came here and played. But yeah, I definitely was a linebacker in high school, but I was a linebacker that played receiver, probably.
Is there a world where you would like to go back to that?
Maybe in my dreams. That's about it.
I guess the body, the play style, obviously you train to be a linebacker now. I'm sure it's not conducive to being.
Yeah.
Talk about Holden, like a guy like him. Like, I mean, I think you think he could play linebacker?
I think he's pretty tall. I mean, he's like 6'4". He's pretty lanky. I mean, that would be I don't know. He probably could. I think he did actually in high school.
Yeah.
I don't know if you talked to him, but he actually played linebacker in high school a little bit, or safety maybe. I can't remember. It was either one, but he definitely played defense. But yeah, he's got more length than me. Like I always said, I talked to my stepdad a lot. Like if I was 6'4", and like I probably would have played tight end too. But I'm like 6'2", so I'm not cutting it there.
Well, you see guys like Holden do it, and you're like, well, maybe I could do it at that size. So well. As we close up here, I looked back at an interview that you did on Nick and Roman Empire's podcast.
Yeah.
Something I learned about you that was really interesting. First thing is you almost stopped playing football out of high school.
Correct.
I mean, talk about, I guess, the mental fortitude to kind of bring yourself out of that hole and look at where you are today.
Yeah, it's all out of college.
Yeah.
I almost stopped playing out. Yeah, so my freshman year, I redshirted here, and then I transferred to Sanford University. But I was only there for 2 months. And I ended up just not enjoying it and not liking it anymore. I guess I really just wanted to be here, and I ended up transferring. It didn't end up working out for me, so I went back home. But I was like working. I decided like I was going to start working and stuff, and I decided to come back here though. I mean, I walked on again though, of course, but I had a scholarship at Sanford. But yeah, man, it's tough. I mean, I'm just grateful for the friends that like brought me back here. But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad now looking back on that I didn't decide to quit because things have definitely worked out for me in the favor. But that just goes to say, man, don't give up on something you truly love and just keep going.
Who is the biggest motivator during that time for you?
That was tough, man, because like really I feel like I had a lot of pressure on me just because I was Mr. Football and I wanted to make it out. But I would just say family, man. They kept me going. I mean, they gave me the chance to like walk on again because it's not free to walk on. So
Right.
like, if it wasn't for them, like there's no way I could have done it. So just shout out to the fan.
The second thing that I got out of that interview is that according to Nick, you are the most country person that he knows.
Really? Yeah.
Does that still stand, or is there someone on this team that you would define as more country than you?
I don't know, man. It's hard to define country. Like,
Right.
You know,
Do you like country music, or is it a hunting, fishing
yeah,
kind
are
of
you a
thing?
hunter, fisher? Are you like a redneck? Like, there's a lot of rednecks where I'm from. So like, I embrace that, man. But like, yeah, I don't know who's more country, man. There's a lot of country guys, honestly, on the team. I'd say Zach Clayton's pretty country.
Yeah.
He might take that O-line. Zach Clayton might take that one.
I got you. All right. Well, we're joined by linebacker Parker Hughes. Thanks for taking the time to join us, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. We are now joined by true senior linebacker Alex Mitchell, local legend, so local legend that I heard you have a jersey hanging up in Toots on Church Street.
It's not my jersey, but it is the number one I wore in high school, hanging up in Toots. I like to claim it around, the other guys, the linebackers and whatnot. I've taken them around the block where I'm from and shown them the spots. But yeah, man, it's hanging up there.
So, but now we'll claim it that is Alex Mitchell's there on Church Street. But talk about being back in Murfreesboro, man. I'm sure you came back, visited family and stuff like that while your time at Chattanooga. But now that you're back home, how does it feel?
Yeah, man, it feels great. I was only an hour and a half away from home, so I would come by from like week to week and see like being back home is great. I have a bunch of family that supports me, and I got a lot of animals at the crib. I live on a farm and whatnot. But
Okay.
It's fun, man. I'm glad to be back here. It's a great community and a lot of great people.
So now, just talking to Parker, you might be the most country then if you're living on a farm. What do you farm?
Just horses.
Horses, okay.
Chickens, whatnot. Nothing too crazy.
Do they go like? Are we talking like show horses, or are these actual working horses?
Tennessee walking horses.
Okay,
They
so you
show
go
a
down to
little bit.
Shelbyville.
I will sometimes. They have one around MTSU too, the little agriculture center too.
Right.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay, well then, back to the home roots here. Riverdale guy. There's a lot of Oakland ties here.
Yeah.
How often do those conversations ever come up? And are you going to make a trip to that rivalry game this fall?
Oh, it comes up all the time. I talk crap to Corey Smith, linebacker 58. He went to Oakland, and I always talk to him about it because we never beat him in high school, and that always got to me. But yeah, I plan to come around. Since I'm here, I plan to come to most of the games this year. Hopefully, they have a great season.
Have you seen Coach Kreisky since being back?
I have. I saw him at the 7-on-7 tournament we hosted about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I talked to him and all the other coaches.
It's funny. DJ Taylor, another Riverdale grad that just came here from a guy he's big, he's very high on. So there's a lot of pipeline coming from Riverdale to MTSU. It's really it's cool to see. Tell me about the recruiting process. Obviously, you entered the portal last year there at Chattanooga. Who'd you talk to? How'd you get here?
So I hit the portal in around early December, and I started getting some big time offers, some P4 offers like Wisconsin, Oklahoma State, and whatnot. But later on down the road, I was waiting to see my options, and Coach AJ reached out to me, and he gave me a scholarship here, and I really just wanted to come back home and play for my city. It's a big thing for me. I'm very family oriented, and I like being back in front of this community, and I want to play for them.
Was it kind of a done deal when that offer came across that if MTSU came knocking, I'd be there?
Yeah, I think once they offered, it was like maybe 3 or 4 days later, I decided to visit, and then I committed right after that.
Talk to me now about this linebacker group that you're a part of. I asked Parker this question. What's the identity of you guys? How would you describe it?
I would say intelligent, physical, fast. We got a couple older guys, and then we got mainly younger guys. There's only about 6 of us, I think, and I think we're really communicating very well out there and coming into a leadership role, and I think we're going to be very productive this year.
How do you describe Coach Stewart's defense to maybe someone that's not familiar with it?
I would say it's very unique, complex. We don't run the same things. Like, we don't just line up in one formation and run it the whole game. We'll switch it up. We'll call blitzes, man pressures, zone pressures. We'll switch it up, and I think we can adjust to any offense out there. I think that's going to help us a lot this year.
What's something about the linebacker position that the casual fan may not understand that's so difficult about being a linebacker?
Probably just knowing your reads, like reading the offense, the pre-snap reads. You got to read your guards, the snap, the running backs, the tight end, where everybody's lined up, how many people, what personnel, and yeah, man, it's tough to do, but I think we're doing a great job right now.
You're in a spot where you're technically the new guy, but you already touched on it. You're kind of embracing this leadership role as you've taken stock in the guys that are in that linebacker room with you. Who are you impressed with?
Right now, I'm impressed with Muaz Bayard. He's really stepping up because he played outside linebacker all spring, and he just started playing inside linebacker, and he's playing Mike and Mo right now. And he's doing a great job of embracing those roles.
And as far as guys like Parker, how has someone like him made life easier for you in regards to having someone that's been in the Stewart defense for a year? You're kind of getting introduced to it. How do those kind of things work out?
When I came in, man, I was a little lost, and I think Parker really helped me out. And with my experience, playing for about 3 years, I think we really gelled well together. With him being experienced and playing for 3-4 years, and he's been a great help. We're great buddies now. We hang out all the time, and I think, yeah, man, he's really helped out a lot.
Absolutely. Well, that is linebacker Alex Mitchell joining us. Thanks again, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
right, welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. I am now joined by a familiar face around here. It is senior quarterback. Do I call you graduate quarterback, senior quarterback?
Yeah, grad. I graduated in May with my undergrad.
So now you're he's the grad quarterback, Nick
Grad.
Badiato.
Makes me feel old.
Well, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. How are you? I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, you and I are a lot alike. We both host podcasts.
Yep.
And I attended MTSU.
Love that.
And that's the end of what we have in common because you have a lot more yards than I do, a lot more touchdowns. Talk about your career. How do you reflect on what you've done here at MTSU?
It's gone by in the blink of an eye. Like I look back on it, playing in that Bahamas Bulls feels like yesterday. But at the same time, it kind of feels like a lifetime ago. I'm forever grateful for like all the experiences and opportunities I've had here at MTSU, like all the people. Obviously, Coach Stock like gave me the ability to come here, play as a young quarterback, and I kind of learned, how to be a college football player under him, and a lot of the leaders in that locker room helped me. And then when Coach Mason came in, we had a lot of good conversations, and he's taught me how to be a phenomenal person on and off the field, and he's expanded my knowledge of football. And him and I have a really good connection, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to stay here at MT and be with him and lead this team. And I think we have a good thing going right now, and it's been awesome. It's kind of crazy that going into my fifth and last year here, but I'm grateful for all of it.
Do you care about records and numbers? I already know your answer, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
I just want to win. I just want to win. The only stat I care about is how many wins we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that, at the end of the day, like, all the personal accolades are cool and all, but, first 2 years we went to a bowl game, and the last two we've had under 500 seasons. So I just want this team to win. I want it for the coaching staff because how hard they work. I want it for this university and the athletic department and this community of Murfreesboro. Like I just want us to win, and that's kind of what we're working towards right now.
Tell me about this group. How are you feeling? I know at media days, Mason kind of had a point where I'll summarize it as they spent a lot of time majoring in the minor details. This year, he feels like because of guys like yourself, you're not having to waste so much time doing that the group just feel the culture's there, if you will. How do you feel about that?
I agree with him. I think Coach Mason has done a phenomenal job at making sure everyone knows what the standard is and setting the standard.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also done a good job of like letting players police the standard. So like you said, it's our job as players, whether it's myself, Parker Hughes, Alex Mitchell, Jacob Potts, Marcus Miller, to Brendan Harris, guys like, our older guys, to make sure that standard's being met every single day of the week. And it's not just when the coach is around, but also when they're not around. Like we need to be doing what we're supposed to be doing, what we know is the right thing to be doing all the time. And I think that we've done a really good job. Everyone's worked hard in the summer with Coach Platnick. Now we're getting back into the football, and everyone's working hard again on the field. And I feel really good about this team, and I'm really excited about the talent around us. So it's really exciting time.
How do you feel about your offensive line?
I love them. Those guys are awesome. They're a really tight-knit group. They're probably the funniest group on the team.
Mm-hmm.
A few new additions in there, like Jacob Otts on the left side of the line, Aaron Alexander, some freshmen or some young guys who were here last year who are getting a lot better. But, I think guys like Marcus Miller and Mateo and Ellis have kind of like been leaders in that room, and they're a really tight-knit group. I love them. I trust them with my entire life. And, I think those guys are going to have a phenomenal year. They've worked their tails off.
Something that kind of bit this team in the tail last year was the depth. And this year, I guess you could say, obviously, you feel good about whoever that is going to start.
Yeah.
But if something were to happen, which inevitably it will, as football does, you feel good about the depth you have behind them.
I do. I think not only our depth in the O-line room, but also in the receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
I think like last year we had two phenomenal football players in Amari Kelly and Holden Willis. And now with both those guys moving on, we did like really revamp that receiver room. And I think guys like Miles Butler and Cam Lacey, who have been here, and Gamarion Carter, who was here last year, with the additions of like AJ Jones and Najee Cox and Amarion Walker, like that is a deep room.
Mm-hmm.
And, and like even an offense like us, like we spend a lot of our offense in 11 personnel with a tight end. So, there's a lot of depth in that receiver room. There's a lot of talent. I think all those guys are phenomenal football players. And I've been having a really good time just getting to throw to all of them these first few days of practice. So I'm excited to see those guys make some plays on Saturday.
We'll talk about the wide receivers in a second, but I want to take it back to the O-line. If you had to drop a perfect trick play right now, who's going to catch the ball on the offensive line? Who's got the best hands?
Best hands. That's tough. I want to say Mateo.
Okay.
I'd throw it to Mateo. Mateo's pretty athletic for a big boy.
Mm-hmm. I heard Jacob Otts almost, or I think it was Otts that almost did like a 50-inch box jump or something like that.
Jacob Otts is a freak of an athlete.
Yeah.
He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he can run. He'll be running 15, 20 yards downfield, making blocks, running stride and stride with our running backs. So I'd throw, you know what, a good way to I'd throw it to anyone on the left side of the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the guys on the right side can catch as well as the left side can. And I'd put Marcus he might have to go to the right. I don't know
Okay.
I don't know how good his hands are, but Mateo and Otts, they can definitely catch a touchdown someday.
Now, the guys that are supposed to catch it, those wide receivers, you already touched on a few of them. Who are you expecting kind of be that breakout? Everyone was talking about Omari last year, and we all could kind of see that. With this group, there's a little bit more. I want to say the top end is more depth to it. How do you feel about those guys, and who is a target that you think could have a breakout year?
I think Miles and G coming back from last year probably played the most last year in that receiver room, and I think they've done a really good job, like just getting better at their position and really sharpening their tools and becoming better leaders. I think a guy who's been here, who hasn't gotten that much time to play, like Cam Lacey, is going to have like a breakout year and like really be a baller in this offense. He does everything the right way. He's a great kid on and off the field, and just twitchy, great, smart receiver who's an absolute baller. And then I think guys like AJ Jones and Amarion Walker, who we added from the transfer portal, are going to add some size, some length, some physicality. Those dudes create separation and can go get the ball. And I think those two can really make some really nice plays for us this season.
Who's always open?
If you ask Coach Lowry, the running back's always open.
Okay.
On the check down. But I mean, those dudes do a great job, honestly. I think I would take Miles and Cam in the slot versus anyone in the nation. Versus any nickel defensive back, I would take Miles and Cam versus anyone.
Back to you about more personal stuff as we close things up here. Again, I've talked to you a ton, but I've never really asked this question. Quarterbacks are kind of robotic in a way. Do you have a pregame ritual that you always go through?
Not really.
No?
Not really. So one of our quarterbacks used to be Kyle Lowe. He would always be my throwing partner before games, and we would always long toss before games. But other than that, I just like stay loose. Like I don't really have any specific music I listen to. I just kind of like to have a good time, stay loose. Like I think a lot of guys tend to like get too locked in and try to zone everything out and kind of like maybe lose themselves in the process. But I like to, like you walk out on the field, especially like away games, like walk out on the field, you get to see a new stadium, kind of take a new environment in. And, I just kind of like, it's something different every week. And I think you just try to like take it all in and embrace it and enjoy it. And when the ball's kicked off, then you're just playing football.
Last year in particular was special in terms of pregame rituals because you get cut in the middle with a rain delay, a 3-hour rain delay somewhere here or there.
Yeah.
Or in Conference USA, you're playing on a Wednesday. There's just no way to really kind of get in that groove. How do you, with that new scheduling, this year it's going to be more conducive. You guys have longer breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think that obviously those are going to play as a benefit to you guys this year?
Yeah, I think especially this year, you think I believe all our midweek games are on Wednesdays. Yeah. So it allows us to keep like our normal week structure going into a game. You don't have to change, you don't have to rush a game plan in. You don't have to change the way you practice. You can keep your same routine, in terms of Coach Reeder and the offensive staff can keep their routine about breaking down who we're playing, creating a game plan, and then our install is still the same. Mm-hmm. We're not worrying about having to play on a Saturday and then go play on a Thursday, and all of a sudden it's a short week. You don't have as many days to prepare. So I think this year it is a little better, like you said, conducive for us, getting able to play on those Wednesdays because we get to keep our structure the same, which is nice.
Last thing here, 3 words. This is your viral moment, all right? 3 words describe this team.
Physical, tough, intelligent.
There you
go.
The
words. If you ask Coach Mason, he'd say physical. That's the media answer. Physical, tough, intelligent. I'd say hungry. I think hungry is a really good one. I would say energetic. These guys bring a lot of energy, and I would say passionate. I think these guys play with a lot of passion. There's a lot of people who feel like they have something to prove. Or one of our student assistants is flicking me off in the office. But I think these guys feel like they have a lot to prove, not in a bad way, but some guys who haven't got to play a lot have a chip on their shoulder and play with a lot of passion. And I think that's really cool to see. It creates a lot of energy. And like these first couple practices of camp have been phenomenal. The competition's up here, and you can't ask for much more, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Well, that is graduate quarterback Nick
Yeah.
Vattiota joining us, man. I appreciate you doing it.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Good to see you again.
Welcome back into the Blue Raider podcast. Sorry for that extended break there, but we had to go into the depths of the SAPC to find Emmy Fazenbaker. She's back here on the PRB. She joined us last week, and if you haven't already, I highly encourage you to listen to that interview so you can learn a lot more about Emmy. So thanks for being back.
Of course, I'm glad to be back.
Tell me about fall camp today. I know you were set up with Chip Walters today, learned a lot of good stuff, much like we have here. What are you most excited about with this football year?
Oh, goodness. That's a very open-ending question. Well, what I've learned a lot today, talking to Dana, talking to Chelsea Floyd too, is there's a lot of new things, not just our building, but there's a lot of new things happening, whether that comes from game day experience or even the football players and their helmets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to use the proper terminology, but their helmets, we only have two. We only have practice and game day helmets. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those are the 3D camera or something in them. It's the only one in the entire country.
Okay.
No matter if it's
and we have it here?
Power 4, Power, yes.
Oh, wow.
Just us, just MTSU. So that's really cool.
Okay.
Didn't know that. Dana
Uh-huh.
said that he just found out about it today too, that we're the only ones that have this specific helmet, which is pretty incredible.
That is.
Yes. Apparently they're doing some revamp to, the whole game day before the game day starts, experience with the Grove, certain things like that. Because I've never experienced tailgate here yet, but they've done some tweaks with all that. So that's pretty interesting to me because I'm really excited for that. Oh gosh, we talked to Joe Dubin the whole time. He was our Southern reporter today,
Yeah.
which was fun, which was cool.
Is that your first time meeting Joe?
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Yeah.
Like more, yes, but it was
Good,
he's awesome.
good character. Yeah.
Good character. He gave us some great insight on the sideline. I said, okay, you're our new Aaron Andrews. He said, I'm prettier than Aaron Andrews. I was like, okay, fair. But overall, it was great.
Well, good. Well, I guess the whole thing is kind of centered around this whole day is the anticipation for this football season. You weren't a part of it last year. 3-9. The coaches have kind of sat here, and even Chris Massaro said we're not going to beat around the bush. It wasn't a good year last year.
Yeah.
And this year it feels like the energy is up. I'm from someone that didn't experience it last year to now you're here. What kind of energy, I guess, do you feel about the football program?
I say overall, I mean, yes, it's energetic and it's, what's the word I'm trying to say? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. I think for everybody's feeling it. It's contagious. That's the word. It's contagious. I mean, whether you're on the field or you're walking through the SAPC or you're just chatting with the coaches briefly or even with the players, I mean, everybody's just ready, and you can tell like how the practice flows, how like fast they get on and off the field whenever it comes to play switches. Everybody's just eager to get out there, get the job done, and get off and learn from it. And I think, yes, I wasn't here last year, but learning from what happened from last year and translating it into this year, it's completely different. They took the pieces they need to learn from it, and now they're really implementing that, whether that's new faces in your O-line, whether that's bringing in some JUCOs for your wide receiver cornerback group, whether that's really beefing up. You already have a really veteran defensive line, but I mean, bringing back in linebacker Alex Mitchell, who's a Tennessee native. I mean, all the things. And I think the pieces are going to come together quite nicely from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing.
This media day in general is kind of something that is unique to MTSU. They did it for the first time last year. I think you're very fortunate. You kind of see it. The kinks have been worked out. This has worked out a lot better. I know we've had some timing breaks, but it is how it goes with practice, I guess. Even stuff like this, I think, is what makes MTSU cool, because I think led by that man down there who we'll speak with in a little bit, head coach Derek Mason, is just being more available. That's something that is so unique, not only to all of football, but G5, Conference USA, because no one else is doing that. And that's what makes this place special.
You know, and again, like what you said, you'll talk to him, and I'm sure he'll say more about this, but he's talked to me about availability. Like he wants to share what he is sharing with his team, because again, community is such a big thing for him. And he wants to make sure that that is correlating over and that's bleeding over onto the paper of what he's telling his players. He's also telling other people. And I think for him, he is a very personable person, and he wants to make sure that his goal for his team, again, is being shared with all of Floyd Stadium, because that's the whole point, is filling Floyd. And whenever we were talking to Chelsea Floyd, ironically, her last name's the same as Stadium, when we were talking to her, you know, that's what she's loved about working with head coach Derek Mason, is he is just as vocal about, because she's the, marketing fan engagement associate director. He is just as vocal about that as he is about the plays, the X's and the O's on the field. And I think that's very, very important. So
I've held a few media personalities here today. I'm going to hold them to this. Expectations this year. You don't have to put a number on wins, but I like to just throw it out there if you have a number.
I want to be bowl eligible.
Okay, so at least 6.
At least 6.
Okay,
Bowl
you would like to be. Do you feel confident about this group?
I feel confident, especially with our schedule.
Okay.
I feel confident, and I want to beat Western.
You heard it. That is a Western grad who just said
It
that. So,
Just saying, let's put it out there.
okay. Well, that's going to be unique because it's in Bowling Green this year.
I know, I get to
assume
go
you're going
back.
to make the trip.
Oh, I'm gonna be there.
Okay. You got lots of friends and family there in
Mhm,
Bowling Green.
I do.
And they understand now that you have
Now,
changed.
I now wear the blue.
Okay.
They understand.
Well,
Yeah.
Emmy in the blue. She's our segue here. Like I just prefaced, we're going to have Coach Derek Mason on here in just a minute. But Emmy, thanks again for joining us.
Of course, so glad to be here.
Welcome back to the Blue Raider podcast. We are joined by a familiar face, head football coach, Derek Mason. Coach, how's it going?
You know what? I'm great. Hey, man, I love the Raider gear, man. I like what's happening, man. You got the podcast gear, the lightning bolt, man. You making me, like want some of this gear, man. So tell me where I can find that.
Well, I do have our own website, BlueRaiderPodcast.com. We have a link there to our store. Easy peasy, make life easy for you.
Okay, man. I'm coming to get some.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Mason, excited to be here. I know I'm the last of the media row, but as they like to say, best for last, right?
Best for last.
Well,
always.
Tell me about the topic that I've been talking with all the coaches and the players with is this brand new facility right back here. I know a lot of anticipation for it. How has the move been for you to this new place?
You know, the move has been fantastic. The Stephen and Denise Smith Athletic Performance Center is as good a facility as you're going to find. It's quality, like top to bottom. It's well thought through. It's taken time to get this thing truly put together, but what I will tell you is you're going to have a hard time in the mid-state area finding something as good as this. It encompasses strength and conditioning, nutrition, performance, development. All those things were thought about like in this project. So I want to say kudos to everybody involved. But the reality is it's not a museum. Okay, it's a working facility. It's about putting our student athletes ahead, giving them an opportunity to perform and recover at a high level.
How do you stack it? You've been a lot of places. How do you stack it in your previous destinations?
You know what? Auburn just got a new facility a couple of years ago, and I was seeing that as it was being built. Right? This place maybe not as big, but just as on point and just as functional. Built by the same company,
right?
But I think the ebb and flow of this building is extremely accurate in terms of what the student athletes have to do, in terms of how they come into the building, where they go, how they can swiftly move from locker room to player lounge to recovery to the weight room. The idea of how this thing was built was about athletes and coaches, right? So kudos again to the architects because they got it right. They got it right.
And the tools are there, right? I mean, like you kind of like
top to bottom.
Maybe not the biggest or the most expensive, but the tools are there that you need.
Well, I tell you what, I think like biggest, maybe not. Tools, every tool and then some, right? We are exactly where we need to be for where we are in our program. It's only going to get better, right? But it's not just about technology. Like you can have all the technology you want. There's still got to be some blue collar work behind it, right? There's still got to be some brick and mortar put into this. And so it allows us to teach better. It allows our student athletes to train better. It allows us to understand, like how do we invest in their recovery in these different spaces. So to me, it's a true athletic invention, but it's about these teaching tools that are super important to the journey of the college student athlete.
Tell me, all the offices here, I assume you've got the biggest office. You got the nicest office?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I think your assumption is correct. But I will say this. I think our coordinators in their offices on the edges, their offices are pretty big. And then if you want to talk about the bullpens, our special teams GAs, our offensive and defensive groups, as well as our recruiting staff. Yeah, singularly, I may have the nicest office. The biggest, I may not be so sure. So, like with that being said, a lot of space.
How often you catch yourself like, well, when I was coming up in the ranks, I didn't have a nice fancy office like this. Have you used that line yet?
With our coaches, yeah. You know what? You try to do it to the young people. They've got nothing to draw from. So really, they're just like, hey, it looks cool, it's nice, but I think where they're grateful and really humble in this is where they've come from to where they are now and what they have, and I think they're appreciative and very thankful.
The main topic today was fall camp. We're here at practice with you guys. You've had at least over a week now with these guys in pads. How do you feel about this group at this point?
They're getting better. We understand where we were a year ago. 3-9 was not what we wanted, but it's really what we earned. So now what we got to do is, like, with the energy, the action, the work, it's about winning days. I mean, you heard it from Nick Vadiato. All we're trying to do is win days, stack those days, and earn opportunities to go play well on Saturday. But I do believe this idea of quality work, consistency by which the quality stands up, leads to confidence, right? Like those three things have been mainstays for us. And it all leads to this mantra of the identity of trying to be physical, tough, and intelligent.
Tell me about, you mentioned this at the media days, and Nick echoed it, and Parker kind of echoed it himself. And I tried to get away to ask this question. Unfortunately, I wasn't there at the media days, but I wanted to ask you this because I think it's important as you transition from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah.
Talk about the minor details that you don't have to waste time on, like majoring in the minor details. You get to let that be player-led, and now you get to be a football coach.
Yeah, from year 1 to year 2, felt like everything was just it was words, and there was no cement to it, right? That you were just tracking through wet cement like the whole time. Not you're trying to make it stick, but you're from recruiting to a bunch of new guys to new systems to new coaches. Everybody was learning everybody, and sometimes it clicks and it goes fast. It didn't. Okay, we ran into some hills, some hurdles, and those were things that we tried to correct. In year 2, it's just moved so much faster. It's been so much easier for me to just talk to our guys, okay, and give them a sample or an example of what it looks like, and then they do it. And I think that's the speed of trust. If you don't really trust somebody, you're kind of one toe in, one toe out, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. Now, I ask. They do. They ask of me. I do. Right? I mean, it's reciprocal. And I think that's the thing. There's a huge level of trust here. In order for us to be successful, we have to be player-led, not coach-led. We got to be coach-fed. Okay, man. Then I've got to provide the nutrients and the areas of expertise, but I don't play football with them. I don't play football for them. Okay, we have to give the guys the tools that they need, and they got to hold each other accountable, for the work that's got to get done. Because I can tell them how to do it in the way I want it done, but it's up to them to hold the standard.
Right. Tell me these new faces you got coming in. You got some older guys. Guys like Nick, I know, is already just a natural-born leader.
Yeah.
Who are some of these new guys that have embraced that leadership role for you?
Yeah, I think an Alex Mitchell has led not by, the UT Chat a linebacker who I think had an incredible career there. He's led by example. He shows up every day. He knows how to work. He's experienced, right? You mentioned Parker, but it's guys like Moez Bayet, okay, man, who's starting to mature. It's Anthony Bynum, like working to mature. It's guys like a Marion Walker, coming into this space. AJ Jones coming into this space. A guy like Marion Carter, who's a transfer from Vandy, who came in. I've known him since he was a young guy, but sometimes when things don't work initially, you got to bide your time. Some of these guys that came a year ago, they got reps, but they weren't as essential as they are now because they have experience, they have maturity, they have this sense of where we need to go and this sense of urgency to get there. And I think that's what's been important. Guys like Jawan Gaston, Brendan Harris, who only played 2 games last year because he was hurt. But, that's a dude that's played 8 years of college football, right? A lot of experience. So we got some old dudes. We got some, you would say, coffee drinkers, right? Because they some old dudes, man.
Yeah.
John House, old dude. Ellis Adams, old dude. But they now understand what we want. So the matriculation of old and new and how those guys have married the philosophy and embraced where we're going is cool.
What's one position group that you feel a lot better about today than you did maybe this point last year?
The offensive line. The offensive line. I mean, not only because we made an investment, but because we got the right people. See, you can get good players, man, but if they're not invested in this place and it's just a stop to the next stop, then it doesn't matter. We needed to protect our quarterback. We needed to have a physical bunch of guys come in here who wanted to embrace the idea of being physical and running the football.
Mhm.
So, like, to me, these things were sort of identity traits that we were looking for, and guys that we were able to sort of vet going through the process that we feel, good about. Now what we got to do is stay healthy, because injuries, as you know, are part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, certainly something that I know hit you guys hard last
It
year
did.
On the offensive line in particular. Talk about bring it back to this SAP space, because I did have this question for you. Something like this, even on the aspect of being healthy and being able to recover, for that matter, makes a huge difference for what this team can do in the fall.
It does. Our rosters are smaller, right?
Yeah.
You used to be, you can have 120, 125. Now, you're in this 105-ish space.
Yeah.
When you start to look at that, the dynamics of your football team looks different,
Mhm.
right? Where you can go, like, truly looks different. You have to use the technology, and really some intuition and instincts to understand, is your team beat up,
Mhm.
right? The technology tells you that, okay, the numbers and loads are getting high, but you gotta walk that fine line of physicality and getting to become a tougher team.
Mhm.
With the idea of not losing key players and key spots in order to consistently step into games the way you want to. So every coach in college football is towing that line. This place helps us manage some of that a little better for what we have in our strength conditioning room with Connexon and Catapult, and how we're measuring our guys to, again, what the recovery is when guys get injured, because guys are going to get injured. It's just nature of the beast.
Right.
It's how fast can we get them back?
Well, I talk about all those tools that Jamie Blatnick gets to use. He's like a kid in a candy store in there.
Yeah, he's the biggest kid in the building.
he really is.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, as we wind it down here, last question for you, and I know the answer, so I want something different. 3 words to describe your football team that's not physical, tough, and intelligent.
You know what?
And I also asked Nick the same question. So I hear he's your twin in a lot more ways than one. So I want to know if you guys are on the same wavelength.
I think describing this team, I think hungry.
Oh my God.
I think there's a sense of urgency within this team, and I think there's a brotherhood that's being manifested with this group that's different than it was a year ago, but hungry.
Nick's first word was hungry.
Yeah.
It's and energetic is another one. Yeah, it's impeccable. Yeah, they're more like twins than you may realize. Well, Coach Mason joining us here live at fall camp. I appreciate you taking time, and best of luck this year.
Thank you. Let's go Blue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We are back one last time here at fall camp. I'm joined once again with Shane Pickering. He was here, saw those last couple interviews. We just had head coach Derek Mason on. What do you take away from what Coach Mason had to say?
Yeah, I think, I kind of mentioned the offensive line earlier, and he said similar things. And I feel like with the urgency aspect, this team definitely, you could tell in practice, they're going from point A to point B with way more intent. It's moving way smoother, moving way quicker. It just feels like there's a point to what they're doing this season. And last year they were trying to figure out what they were doing, and now they're figuring out what to accomplish with what they're doing. And I think that's the biggest difference this year. to why they can have some success.
I feel like this point last year when we did the same setup, it was a lot of who do we have that can play X, Y, and Z, and you know, how do these guys fit the schemes that we want to run? There was a lot of moving puzzle pieces last year, where this fall camp, that seems to be they have the pieces that they want. Now, how do we build off of what good things that we did last year into this year? So I think altogether, for those that, you know, we're here at practice, get to witness a lot of it. I feel good about this group in comparison to last year. I think for all the reasons that we've heard today, they seem more put together. They're not having to major in the minor details right now. It's something that they are. I think you should have a reason to have high expectations this year. And to go back to that topic of discussion as we close things out here, you know, Shane, what are those expectations? What do you think is realistic?
I think the realistic goal should be to make a bowl game this year. You know, it's kind of like a year zero last year. This is really their focus on year one. And I think their goal is to make a bowl game. And I think that's very realistic. You don't have to play that brutal non-conference slate, as we mentioned earlier. And I think that's a very realistic goal. That should be the bar this year, is to make a bowl game and at least go 6-6 and compete for a postseason spot.
Well, and another part that we kind of missed earlier too when we talked about that was the scheduling. That is, last year, not on top of the non-conference, I believe they had a bye week, then they had their first conference game, and then they had 3 games in 15 days.
Yes.
In the middle of that was eventual Conference USA champion Jacksonville State. This year, that stretch of midweek games at Conference USA has aligned for them way more spread out. I think it's like 3 games over a month, about. So
sounds right.
That's something that they're going to obviously, like, that's more conducive to talk about injury prevention and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But and on top of having an easier schedule, I think it's 7 first-year head coaches that he will be coaching against this year. So a lot of big things, I think, for the Blue Raiders this year. I've kind of stuck with that number 6 as a good number. I think in a situation where maybe if the offensive line is better than maybe we thought, there's a world where they could get to 7. A big part of it, I think, too, we'll find out in the early going, is feeling their way through that non-conference schedule. Obviously, if you have a more convincing win against Austin Peay than what you had against Tennessee Tech last year, if you can stay competitive when you play Wisconsin, and then the Nevada and Marshall non-conference games are interesting because Nevada is a program that has struggled, to say the least, over the last couple of years. From what I can tell, they don't necessarily look like they've really turned a corner for them. But Marshall, a complete roster collapse. So maybe this is the year you can sneak up
sneak a win out of that.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like even with the conference being way more open this year, I feel like every game, aside from maybe Wisconsin, should be one that this team goes into that game thinking we have a real shot at winning this game. And I think that's exciting. It's an exciting excitement for this season. And I feel like there's more buy-in, more locked-in mentality to this season. And it's just, I think there's more focused team this year.
I agree. A lot to be excited about from today. As we wrap up here, I do want to just remind all the fans that are listening, if you're not already, make sure you're following us on all of our social media. That's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, at Blue Raider Pod. Of course, if you're listening to our live stream on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We finally eclipsed the 100 subscriber mark after our first full year of recording, so it's a perfect milestone to go along with updating for season 3. We've also got a sponsorship by Gold's Gym. I want to thank them one last time. Don't forget that 50-year anniversary deal that is online only, 1965 billed weekly. You get access to all their gyms and all their amenities. And then they are also doing the giveaway on Instagram. So find them, Gold's Gym Tennessee. Find that post, like the post, share it onto your story, tag all your friends. You have unlimited entries to win that $150 giveaway of a goodie bag that they're giving out there. So thanks again to Gold's Gym in Tennessee, Conseco Group. Next week on this day, Tuesday, we will have a men's basketball summer series episode where we're going to be interviewing head coach Nick McDevitt, incoming transfers Sean Smith and Javin Carter. So look forward to that this next week. Shane, thanks to you. Thanks to everybody that helped put this on. And until next time, go Blue.